Hey everybody, welcome back to FeedbackLoop. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Joey.
And this week we're not playing RuneScape
While doing the podcast. I never have played RuneScape.
We haven't. I started this up. This is the second time of me starting this episode because I accused Joey of playing RuneScape or closing RuneScape as we're starting because I saw a reflection in his glasses. Anyways, man, this is episode 105, season 2, episode something. I'm still not counting anything right.
Episode 9. It's season 2, episode 9.
Season 2, episode 9. Joey knows these things. Joey's keeping track. I'm not.
Hell yeah.
I've lost track of every sense of measurement of time.
Yeah.
Man. I feel like we say this every week because we're just a fucking broken record at this point. But, like, time is so meaningless now. It feels like the past 2 weeks I have accomplished nothing for this podcast and just in general in life. Time is just such a fuck.
Yeah, but, I agree.
Surprisingly, to contrast this feeling of me not having done anything, I actually kept up with most of my promises from last week, and that I've listened to the Nova Twins, who's like a British rock duo that I thought was a rap duo last episode. They're not. I mean, they kind of are. They have a lot of hip hop roots. It's kind of like this, kind of like Rage Against the Machine kind of vibe. So this is really cool. I didn't listen to their album a whole lot. They have a new one coming out soonish, I think, that I'll probably listen to. But I listened to Puya, who I said I was going to because the guy at the dollar store recommended Puya to me. I listened to Puya. Not quite my style. Also not what I thought it was. It was not the kind of hip-hop rap that I expected. It was just kind of like chill, like white man rap, you know?
There you go.
So not quite my vibe, but it was better than I expected. Swarty released his new album. I listened to. It's a weird album. I don't know what I expected. I didn't really have expectations. That was weird. But yeah, so those are the big three that I set out to listen to last episode, and I stuck with it. How did did you make promises last week?
I don't remember if I made promises, but if I did, I 100% did not stick to them.
I think maybe King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard was one of them.
Yeah, I think I wanted to dive more into that, which I didn't do. I'm off this current week. Like, I'm not working because this whole past 2 weeks has been fucking nuts. Like, my daughter was supposed to have surgery, and then she got a really high fever, which caused her to not be able to have the surgery. So now I've just been kind of like in limbo in this past week and just kind of just been like in a frantic mode of panic. But I did actually listen to some new music, which was Joji put out a new single called Glimpse of Us. And it was pretty good overall. I still definitely like his old stuff more. I feel like the longer his music goes on, the more refined it gets. And I feel like he hit a really sweet spot with Nectar.
Yeah, I was going to say you really like Nectar. That was on your like top 5 or something for that year, right?
Yeah, it was. And it still is. Like, I listened to Glimpse of Us, and then I was just like, oh, shit, dude, I got to go back and listen to Nectar. So I did, and I listened to it like 4 times in a row, and it was just really good. But there's just something about it that it didn't seem as emotional, I guess, as some of his older music, and that's what I really liked about it. Not that I don't like Glimpse of Us. It's still a really good song, and I still really like his voice.
It just doesn't hit the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there were times on Nectar, like, in Afterthought, really from Afterthought to the end of the album was just like punch. But I didn't hit that here, which, I mean, once the album comes out, maybe it's going to hit new context and it'll be better and the rest of the album will come together like that. But yeah, on its own, it was a good single, but not my favorite of his yet.
I feel I need to check out Nectar. Still.
Yeah, you do.
I've still not. I don't think I've made it through that album. I feel like I've started it a couple times. I'm just like, okay, that's enough for me. But I want to. I do want to. I just think I haven't been in the headspace for it. In a similar vein, I did listen through the album "The Ghost" by Songs Ohio.
Oh yeah.
From your recommendation. last episode, and again, I wasn't like, I don't know, it was on. I listened through the entirety. I couldn't name anything that happened during that album though. So I do want to give that another revisit because it did have that kind of like bluesy, very like stripped down kind of bedroom sound to it. I actually saw on YouTube Music they do like a little blurb, like a little bio, I guess, about albums and stuff. And the album that I listened to, called The Ghost, was not actually like released as an album. It was like a tour only thing that he was doing, I guess. And he recorded the recordings that they have were just like he recorded them on a boombox, just like him and his guitar, just playing these songs. And so it has that really like lo-fi, just like a man on like a really shitty microphone with an acoustic guitar, just kind of doing some bluesy shit. And it's such a vibe. It's such a specifically cool vibe. But I wasn't, I guess I wasn't paying attention to it when it was happening. So I do want to give that a big like focus, I guess, in the upcoming fortnight.
I feel like that's really easy to do, like to just have something on and not focus, especially with the way that we talk about like listening to music. It's not, there's a lot of times where it's not an active experience. It's kind of a passive experience.
For sure.
And I feel like I rely on the moment where I'm passively listening to something and then just something in a song makes me actively start listening to it, where I'm just like, shit, this just really good, like all of a sudden. But I feel like that's kind of unfair to a lot of music, because while it may not have that moment for me and it may not be like peak greatness or something, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be something that I really, really enjoy. And it's just, I kind of like gloss over it because I'm just so used to listening to music passively. But I've been doing that a lot lately. Like and it's caused me to be listening to a lot of music that I used to listen to. Like the other night, maybe it was last night. Yeah, it was last night. Shit, dude. What the fuck is time? I was listening to Nightmare by Avenged Sevenfold, which I haven't listened to Avenged Sevenfold in such a long time.
It's been a while for me as well.
Like, they're a band that I so very much like associate with being a teenager. And that's like when I listen to them and everything. And there was just, I had a moment where I just thought about the Rev, and I was just like, I gotta listen to Nightmare, because like in my head.
For those who don't know, the Rev is the nickname of Jimmy Sullivan, I think is his actual name. The former drummer, the late drummer of Avenged Sevenfold for their first 5-ish albums, I think.
Yeah, pretty much from the band's inception until Nightmare, I guess.
Yeah, Nightmare was the last album, and he had a pretty major role in writing that album.
Oh yeah, and he had a pretty major role in writing some of their. What are their whiteout? I mean, I guess it was a self-titled album, but it wasn't their first self-titled album.
Yeah,
is that how that
2009 self-titled or whatever?
Yeah,
it is.
But he, like, Little Piece of Heaven on that album, that was kind of his style of writing music.
Yeah, I think we talked about them, maybe not on the podcast. I feel like we've had this discussion. Maybe it was on the podcast a while back about like Pinkley Smooth and his other like weird projects.
I really fucking like.
He was a weird dude when it came to writing music, but like I don't think that really came through on Nightmare. Nightmare just felt like such a masterpiece. Of like just like everything that like it proved, I guess, to me at least, that Jimmy was like more than that. Just the quote unquote weird shit that like Pinkley Smooth and stuff was, but it's such a like heartfelt album, because like that was the last thing Jimmy wrote for them.
Yeah.
He turned in his parts, and then like he died like days later.
Yeah.
And there's a song on there called Fiction, which was another one of his nicknames, and I think he had it tattooed on his body or something. But that's just like it's just about like accepting that that's the end of his life.
Yeah.
And it's so surreal to like listen to it with like full context. I mean, a lot of times I listen to music outside of any like personal context, and I feel like that obviously affects my takeaways from the album, but like it definitely enhances it having context. I just don't have that context for a lot of albums, but for like Nightmare, it's so deeply personal because of the things that happened around that album. That it just adds a layer of depth to it.
Definitely. Like, and especially being a fan when that was happening. Like, I remember very clearly when I found out that the Rev died, and I was just like, what the fuck? And like, now to find out that he turned in the lyrics, well, I guess the finishing touches to Fiction days before he died, and it's like, this is it, I'm done, and just gave it to them. And then it's just like listening to it, you're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it's like the same feeling. I don't think you've listened to the album yet, or maybe you have and we just haven't talked a lot about it, but Mount Eerie, A Crow Looked at Me, that album,
I'm gonna write that down right now.
Like, because it's like the opposite of that, but it hits the same like emotional level where with Mount Eerie it was like he was writing these songs in a room days after his wife had died of cancer, in like the same room with the trash that she had thrown out still in the trash can, and he's like writing this music in this crazy space. Nightmare was like the opposite of that, but it hits the same emotional level where you're just like, he knew, like you feel that he knew, like that he knew what was coming. Because I mean, it, for people who don't know, he died of an overdose. So I mean, like, there, you can go back and forth about accidental or not, but it seems like listening to the album, you're like, I don't really think it was accidental.
Yeah,
like,
it's hard to believe that it was accidental, just given the full like story and the context surrounding. Great album.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it in years, so I can't say it holds up, but I assume it holds up.
I thought it held up.
If you're curious out there, listen to Nightmare. Yeah. Avenged Sevenfold, 10 out of 10 album. I listen to it a lot. In a similar vein to you, though, I mentioned that I haven't really been like doing a lot in the past couple weeks, and all of those promises that I kept, I think I kept within like that first weekend after we recorded the last episode.
Yeah.
And then I haven't really like listened to them because I've been kind of like revisiting like past recommendations and like comfort albums and things from the past few years, and I've just been like listening to those kind of albums. So like Piles, Green and Gray has come back up in my like regular play over the past couple weeks. So I listened to that. Every Time I Die's new album that came out last year, I listened through again. The Regrets, not their newest album, but the one prior to that. I listened through again. Banks's newest album that I didn't really give time when it came out like a month or two ago. I listened through again and I'm really enjoying it. I listened to Tyler the Creator's Igor. I listened to Lord's new album. Just like I've just been like revisiting a lot of stuff that like we either talked about on the podcast or adjacent to what we've talked about on the podcast, and it's just like it's a nice warm hug of like comfort / brief nostalgia.
Yeah,
short-term nostalgia, I guess.
I definitely like, I don't know, short-term nostalgia. That band name right there, that's a good band name. But I think these past couple of years have just been such a fucking like monumentous time that it can do that, because it's like I also listen to Soft Cult's Year of the Rat EP. I've been listening to Alexi Murdoch and Jose Gonzalez a lot lately.
Yeah,
like just stuff like that, just like kind of that we talked about in early podcast days, where it's like, I don't want to say it's nostalgia for the beginning of the pandemic, but it's like back whenever there was still some like hope to it or something. Like back whenever it was like 2 weeks, guys.
When we didn't know how long the things were gonna drag out.
Yeah,
we were all wanting it to have our lives back in a couple of months.
Which, I mean, it's kind of getting there. I mean, things are going to be changed forever, but it's like, at least you can go to the store. We went to a concert a couple of weeks ago. Like, it's getting there, so that's cool. Maybe that's why I'm revisiting all this
stuff.
Then
I promptly got COVID immediately after the following weekend. So
that's what you fucking get, Jeremy.
That's why I was sick last episode, and I probably sounded a bit congested and stuff, and what a mess. But yeah, we're slowly returning to normalcy, and I think maybe that there's part of me that's just like, now that I don't have to necessarily worry about the pandemic as much, I want to kind of like I want to look at the things that we looked at during that time, just kind of with a different perspective, like a different lens.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, obviously, like the Banks album just came out, so that's not necessarily included in that. But the Neutral Milk Hotel's Aeroplane Over the Sea.
Hell yeah.
I loved that album when it came up in our requests, and I just went back, and it's still like it holds up for me, which is fun. And I think we're talking about a couple different like little side branches for episode ideas and stuff. One of which being like revisiting previous podcast albums and kind of giving fresh thoughts on those if we have them. But we haven't nailed any format down or anything about that. But so we might be doing some of that stuff, I guess. And I'm kind of looking forward to figuring out how to do that stuff, and also maybe bringing back some more firm recommendation format kind of deal, yeah, which would be fun.
Which means, hey, everybody, watch out for Hella Take 2.
It's gonna happen. I feel like it has to happen. We need to give it a rematch. I don't think its odds are any better than they were at the time of Surviving, but
yeah,
I'm down to listen to it again. Or
I
another
listened
album
to
by
it.
them or something.
Yeah, maybe we'll try another album. I listened to it the other day, like, and it definitely still holds up for me because it's an album that I really like. But
dude, it's like, it's weird. It's some side note. My brain just got blasted with the memory of Yezu, which wasn't the artist we just did. Like, I guess it was probably like 6 months to a year ago now.
Yeah,
there's no way it's been that long, has it?
I think it actually has. I think it was in episode 70 something. I can't.
It's wild. Anyways, yeah. So like, I've lost my train of thought because Yezu popped in, but it'll be fun, I think, to revisit some of those. And also, I still need to force Joey to listen to Paramore and Haley Williams music, so we might be trying to work something out for that stuff. I haven't really been listening to like anything specific though for the past few weeks, and I do have, I guess, some upcoming albums, and then obviously like the Mountain Eerie album that I want to get to, and Joji Nectar, like. So we're just gonna. I guess I'm just trying to feel things out for the next fortnight and just see where my brain is, because I don't want to commit to anything too sternly.
I feel that we had a bonfire with, it was my brother and Alyssa's friend and her girlfriend, and just kind of chilled, and we made a playlist. Well, Alyssa started making a summer playlist and then had me add some Daft Punk to it. Yeah. And I vastly overestimated how much Daft Punk she wanted on this playlist and just put a shit ton on it. But we were so I've been listening to a lot of Daft Punk since then, but the whole time she was just like, what the fuck? Like, why'd you put like an hour's worth of Daft Punk on this? And
it's all good.
I was just putting stuff from like homework. I was putting stuff from like deep cuts, stuff that not punk. Yeah, not just like Around the World, One More Time, Get Lucky, but that was my long way of bringing around to the Lumineers, because halfway through Daft Punk, her friend, Alyssa's friend, was like, said something about whenever we were listening to, I think we were actually listening to a live 2007, and it was like one of the remixes of something, and it was building up, and she was like, I feel like the anticipation of this song makes me feel like I'm getting just more and more amped up, like I'm running away from like like something. She was just like, this is just giving me anxiety, so we need to listen to something else. And she wanted to listen to the Lumineers, and I really liked Cleopatra, an album by the Lumineers. It was like their big I think their big album, but I've been listening to that album a lot, that Lumineers album, and it's been fucking sick. I love that album. And
what style? They're like kind of like an alternative, kind of like a bluegrassy kind of rock thing.
Right? Yeah, like an indie rock something. It's like a piano guitar duo, whatever. And yeah, they kind of play like, I don't want to say country. Bluegrass is probably a better
folksy.
Yeah, folksy. Folksy's a good
whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means anymore, but yeah, I like them and they're good. And then two of my promises that I haven't broke yet actually came from that bonfire night. Alyssa's friend's girlfriend was like on my exact wavelength of music, because we were just talking about whenever the whole debacle about like Daft Punk and all that shit, and like talking about the music that we all like. Got talking about like metal and stuff, and she was like, "Yeah, have you ever heard of Deaf Heaven?" And I was like, "Oh my fucking god!"
Hell yeah, dude.
So then she recommended listening to Greyhaven, and then an album by a band called Touche Amore called Stage 4. So
I feel like I've heard of both of those bands, Greyhaven and whatever you just said, Touche Amore.
I've heard of Touche Amore or Amore, maybe Italian. Maybe they're Italian.
Amore.
But I have definitely heard songs by Greyhaven, just not like, I don't think I've listened to like a bunch of their music.
I don't know if I've listened to any of it either. I think it's mostly just like I recognize the band names, but that's sick. I love when those moments happen where you just like you find someone that matches at least somewhat your music taste, and you can kind of talk about things that aren't like hugely known acts that everyone knows, kind of a thing. It's just it's a nice intimate feeling, I guess. Not that there's anything intimate going on between you and Alyssa's friend's girlfriend. Well, in a romantic sense, but
I think that couldn't happen because
just due to the nature of the people involved.
Exactly.
Never say never, Joey. Never say never. I'm not gonna touch.
I think that in your mouth. We could joke with that, and it could go into a really weird territory, but we'll just leave it there.
For sure. So coming up, Mount Eerie. I want to check that album out just for the vibes that you've sent me about Mount Eerie. I want to revisit Songs Ohio because I maybe not a similar vibe, but similarly vibey. I think for me, Joey, that is a big mug you just took a drink out of. It is huge. Joji, Nectar, I need to revisit for sure. There are a couple upcoming album releases that I think I've actually already promised previously, but the albums got delayed without me knowing it at the time. So Party Favor has a new album coming out that I want to peep. The new Coheed and Cambria album still isn't out, but it's supposed to come out. And then The Warning have their new album coming out as well. So probably going to try and peep those. I don't know how in depth I'm going to go with them, though. How much? I guess it depends on how good they are and how much I like them. We'll see if we have another Necrogoblicon, or I've been listening to a lot of Flume's Palaces.
There you go.
Too. They're both like still just constantly playing those two albums, Necrogoblicon and Flume. Just good vibes, man. I like it.
Oh shit!
Do you have any promises that you want to make for next fortnight?
Other than the two I've made, Horse Jumper of Love, their new album came out like a couple of days ago, or should have. I haven't actually checked if it did come out, but I'll listen to that one too. And boom,
I'm gonna add another one. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Neutral Milk Hotel, Jeff Mangum. Just general. I just want to check out more of his work because I feel like the time is right. The vibe is here, and we're gonna ride that vibe and see where it goes for me.
Well. Disclaimer, if you end up listening to some of their more widely published music and want some like demo tapes and stuff, I have literally their entire discography downloaded, so I can send that to you.
Cool. Legally, of course. You can let me borrow your albums.
Exactly. I'll burn them onto a CD and sell them to you.
I don't know the legality of that one yet, man. Just don't arrest us, Bill Gates or whoever's in charge of that. Totally Bill Gates, Elon Musk, whoever the most powerful person is right now. I'm sure they could stop me if they wanted to, but probably. I hope they don't. Disney, just the corporation of Disney. Still probably not as quote unquote powerful as Elon Musk. But we're not talking about that. Why are we talking? Why am I talking? I'm just rambling at this point, trying to fill space. I don't think I need to.
Trying to pad out runtime.
Yeah, we're just trying to. We get paid twice as much if we hit 26 minutes. So we're just hanging in there for the 26-minute mark. No.
Hell yeah.
No, you guys leave us some recs. If you guys have some interesting format ideas for us or thoughts on us reincorporating kind of recommendations and album review kind of things. Obviously, we're gonna try and keep it short. We're gonna try and keep it fresh because we don't want to be bogged down by just enjoying music. But let us know, comments, tweet us, message us, slip into our DMs, all that good stuff. Stay in our feedback loop.
Bye.